You know that feeling when you walk into a car dealership and nobody comes to help you? You're standing there, looking around, making eye contact with salespeople who suddenly find something very important to stare at on their clipboards. That happened to me. I was 23. I had $200 in my checking account and a dream of driving something that wasn't held together by zip ties and prayers. I spent 40 minutes on that lot. I touched the hoods of cars I couldn't afford. I looked through windows. I waited. Nobody came. I walked out with nothing, not even a brochure. Now, here's what I didn't know then and what most people never figure out. Car dealerships don't treat everyone the same, not even close. There is an entirely different experience waiting for you on the other side of wealth. And today we're going to walk through every level from $0 to 10 million so you understand exactly how this game is being played, and more importantly, how to play it better. Tier 1. Net worth. $0 to $15,000. This is the invisible tier. And if you've been here, you already know what I mean. The moment you step onto the lot in a 2009 Honda with a cracked bumper, something shifts in the air. Salespeople read signals fast. That is literally what they are trained to do. Your car, your clothes, your shoes, your posture, it all gets processed in about 4 seconds. At this level, if someone does approach you, they're not selling you a car, they're filtering you. The first question isn't what are you looking for, it's what's your budget. And that question is a trap, because the second you say a number, they've already decided which section of the lot you're allowed to care about. The cars they show you here have high mileage, rough interiors, and histories you can't fully verify. The trade-in offer on whatever you drove in? Lowballed. They know you need this deal more than they do. And here's the one that really stings, the financing. If you have bad credit or no credit, they'll still sell you a car, but they'll sell it to you at an interest rate that can hit 18%, 21%, sometimes higher. You might be paying $235 a month for 72 months on a $9,000 car and end up paying back nearly $17,000 total. Think about that. You borrowed $9,000, you paid back $17,000. That's not a car payment. That's a tax on not having money. And the dealership, they make more money on your financing than they do on the sale of the car itself. The finance manager in the back office is not your friend. He is a profit center. Tier 2. Net worth. $15,000 to $75,000. Welcome to the part of the dealership where the air conditioning actually works. At this tier, you're in the showroom. You're being treated like a real customer because you are one. A salesperson greets you within 60 seconds. They ask what you're looking for. They walk you through features. Maybe they offer you water or coffee. The chairs are comfortable. The lighting is better. This is the experience most people think of when they imagine buying a car. But here's what's still happening that you cannot see. The salesperson is working on 4 numbers simultaneously: the purchase price, your trade-in value, your financing rate, and any add-ons they can bundle in at the back end. Most buyers negotiate on one of those, usually the sticker price. Dealers make their real margin on all 4. A $35,000 car feels like a deal if they knock $1,500 off the price. But if they quietly extended your loan from 48 months to 72 months, added a $1,200 paint protection package, threw in a $900 extended warranty you didn't ask for, and underwrote your financing 2 points above what your credit score actually qualifies for, they made it all back, and then some. This is called the 4-square method, and it has been used in dealerships for decades because it works. The key move at this tier is information. Knowing your credit score before you walk in. Getting pre-approved financing from your bank or credit union so you're not dependent on theirs. Researching the dealer invoice price on a site like Edmunds or TrueCar. These 3 things alone shift the entire power dynamic in your favor. Tier 3. Net worth. $75,000 to $300,000. Things start to change here. Not dramatically, but you'll feel it. At this net worth level, you're probably buying something in the $55,000 to $85,000 range. A BMW 5 Series, an Audi Q7, a fully loaded truck. And the dealership knows that buyers at this price point have done their homework. You get a dedicated salesperson. Not whoever was standing closest to the door when you walked in, someone senior. Someone who talks about the car differently. Less about monthly payments, more about features, performance, and ownership experience. They'll offer you a test drive without you having to ask. They'll walk you through the service lounge because at this price tier, they want you coming back for maintenance. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. The real money for dealerships at this tier isn't the sale, it's the service relationship. A customer who buys a $70,000 car and brings it back for oil changes, tire rotations, brake jobs, and software updates for the next 6 years, that is an extremely high-value account. They are not just selling you a vehicle, they are acquiring a service customer. So the treatment improves, partly because you're a bigger transaction, and partly because you are a long-term revenue stream. You start to matter to the dealership in a way that goes beyond the initial sale. Now, everything we've covered so far, Tier 1 through 3, that's still the world where they hold the power, where they control the information, the financing, the urgency, where you are walking into their environment on their terms. What I'm about to show you is where that flips completely. Tier 4, net worth, $300,000 to $1 million. You are no longer buying a car, you are having an experience. At this tier, you're walking into a Porsche dealership, a Mercedes-AMG center, a Land Rover flagship store. These are not regular dealerships. The architecture is designed to make you feel like you're already somewhere exclusive. The floors, the lighting, the way the cars are positioned like sculptures rather than inventory. They know your name when you walk in. Not because they're psychic, because if you called ahead or submitted any inquiry online, that salesperson has already done their research. Prior purchase history, what you drove in last time, what you passed on. They have a profile on you before you arrive, and they use it to personalize every moment of the conversation. The test drive isn't a loop around the block, it's a curated route, 30 to 45 minutes, specifically designed to put the car in the conditions that make it shine. Highway ramp for the acceleration, sweeping curve for the handling, quiet road for the interior noise level. They are selling you a feeling, not a spec sheet. The financing conversation shifts here too. At this level, many buyers don't finance at all, they pay cash. Or they use low-rate manufacturer financing as a strategic tool because their capital is working harder elsewhere. A Porsche buyer with $800,000 in net worth might choose 2.9% financing and keep their money in the market. The salesperson doesn't blink. They've seen it 100 times. And the negotiation? It still exists. But it's quieter, more refined. Nobody haggles loudly. It's, let me see what I can do on the delivery package, and we can include 2 years of complimentary scheduled service. The money is still being managed, just with more elegance. Tier 5. Net worth, $1 million to $5 million. Here, the dealership starts coming to you. At this wealth level, you're buying cars that start at $150,000, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bentley, McLaren. And the sales process for these brands doesn't look like a sales process at all. It looks like membership in something. There are waiting lists. You don't walk into a Ferrari dealership and buy a new car, you apply. You build a relationship with a brand ambassador over months, sometimes years. You establish purchase history. Some of the most sought-after models require that you've already bought 2 or 3 vehicles from that brand before they'll even offer you an allocation. This is intentional scarcity, and it completely flips the power dynamic that dominated the first 4 tiers. At every lower tier, the dealer held power over you, information asymmetry, financing leverage, urgency tactics, manufactured pressure. At this level, you have the power. There are more qualified buyers for a $350,000 Ferrari than there are cars available. The brand chooses its customers. You are being evaluated, not just sold to. The sales experience involves private events, track days at closed circuits, invitation-only launch events at hotels or private estates. You're not being sold a car, you are being inducted into a community. And that community is part of what you're paying for. Tier 6. Net worth, $5 million to $10 million. At this level, the concept of a dealership basically dissolves. You have one person, a dedicated contact, not a salesperson in the traditional sense, but something closer to a personal representative for the brand. They know your preferences, your garage configuration, what you traded 2 years ago, what you looked at and passed on, and why. They reach out to you when something relevant comes available. You don't browse. You receive. New models get previewed privately before they're announced publicly. You might be invited to a manufacturer event in Munich or Maranello to see next year's lineup before a single press release goes out. You sit in cars that don't exist yet for the general public. The cars themselves at this tier are typically custom ordered. Bespoke exterior color, sometimes a shade that's never been produced before, specific interior material, custom stitching, a particular combination that no one else will have. Lead time can run 6 to 18 months. You are not buying a car off a lot. You are commissioning one. Payment is handled like any other large investment transaction. Wire transfer, sometimes coordinated through your financial advisor or family office. Nobody in this conversation talks about monthly payments, ever. Tier 7. Net worth, $10 million and above. This is where they fly to your house, and I mean that literally. At this level, if you express interest in a vehicle, maybe you mentioned it in conversation, maybe a brand relationship manager caught wind of it through your network, a representative will arrange to bring the car to you, to your home, to your office, to your country house, wherever you are. You don't go to them. You never have to. Private aviation is not unusual for this. Destination test drives, where they ship the car to a location near you, have it ready on your schedule, are standard for several ultra-luxury brands. Rolls-Royce has a dedicated bespoke program where a specialist will travel to any major city with fabric swatches, veneer samples, embroidery options, and color books, and configure your car in your living room if that's where you're most comfortable. The transaction itself, when it finally happens, is often not even a conversation about price. The price is understood. The conversation is about delivery timeline, chassis allocation, whether you'd like it transported enclosed, and sometimes whether you want a matching pair, one for your primary residence, one for your second home. There is no pressure. There is no urgency. There is no finance office in the back with a manager waiting to add a protection package. That entire infrastructure exists for people with less money. At this level, it has been removed from your experience entirely. What replaces it is a relationship that looks less like retail and more like private banking. They are managing your loyalty, not closing a transaction. And here's the thing that ties all of this together. The car you're driving doesn't just reflect your wealth. It reflects how the entire commercial system treats you based on what it believes you're worth. Every tier we walked through today, from the invisible buyer on the lot with $200 in his pocket to the $10 million client who gets a home visit and a matching pair, it's the same product category: transportation, getting from point A to point B. But the experience, the information you're given, the terms you're offered, the respect in the room, completely different worlds. So what do you actually do with this? First, understand you are always being assessed the moment you walk in. So walk in prepared. Know your credit score before you go. Get pre-approved financing from your own bank so their finance office doesn't have leverage over you. Research the invoice price so you know what the dealer actually paid. Don't let the four-number game run on you without you seeing it. Second, understand that the treatment you receive at a dealership is not a reflection of your value as a person. It is a reflection of what the system believes you can spend, and that number can change. It changes faster than most people expect once you start making the right decisions with your money. The tiers we walked through today aren't just about cars. They're a map of how money changes the rules of every transaction you'll ever have. And if you want to understand how to move through those tiers, how to build net worth from the ground up, how to understand the systems that are quietly working against you, and how to start working with them instead, that's exactly what this channel is built for. See you in the next one.